Have you ever driven a Pontiac Fiero? What was it like to own one? I've never had the privilege to do either, yet I cannot resist its exotic sporty looks. Between 1983 and 1988, 370,168 units were built. The Pontiac Fiero was a revolutionary car for its time. It was the first American manufactured vehicle to have a mid-size rear engine with radio speakers built right into the headrest of each seat. Since the 1960s, the Pontiac division of General Motors wanted to design and mass produce a two-seater sports coupe that could rival the Chevrolet Corvette. However, this concept had to be on a smaller scale with cheaper materials and could not reduce the sales of the prestigious Corvette. Yes, the Pontiac Fiero was actually designed as a commuter car with a 2.5-liter engine dubbed as the Iron Duke. It was meant to be fuel efficient to meet growing market demands in response to the energy crisis of the 1970s. Although its striking appearance was far ahead of its time, the Fiero was not without its flaws. For many owners, it quickly became a nightmare after driving it off the dealership parking lot. I want to share my own thoughts of this iconic 80s vehicle, so grab a snack, sit back, and enjoy this presentation. The origins of the Fiero stem from concept cars Pontiac had initially designed, but never saw the light of day. The best example was a car called the Pegasus, with a blend of American engineering and Italian style, much similar to that of a Ferrari. The production of the Fiero was led by a Turkish engineer by the name of Halki Aldakaci. With only a $400 million production budget, a small allotment for GM projects at the time, he was able to convince engineers to work together to develop a four-cylinder prototype made from aluminum. In 1980, Aldakaci eventually convinced the CEO of GM, William Hoagland, to build an exciting sporty commuter car with better fuel efficiency that could soar the company to new heights. The 1970s were a rather unremarkable period for American automakers. Cars such as the Chevrolet Caprice, Monte Carlo, and Chevette were made from cheap materials, had a reputation for being gas guzzlers, and easily broke down. Not only did they want to produce an affordable yet exotic car, they also needed an exotic name. In Italian, the word Fiero means very proud, fierce, bold, cruel, and severe. In Spanish, it means wild, fierce, or ferocious. Alternative names for this car were also considered, such as Sprint and Pegasus. Eventually, the choice was made by GM line workers through popular vote. Personally, I think Fiero is perfect for this classic. The production of the Fiero commenced in August of 1983 and was released as a 1984 model. It would come in certain variations, available in red, white, black, and gray metallic. There was the Fiero Coupe, the SE, and the Sport Coupe. The Fiero GT would be introduced in January of 1985. A special version was made as the official pace car of the 1984 Indianapolis 500 and was even promoted by pop music duo Hall & Oates. It could even be equipped with 3-speed automatic transmission or 4-speed manual drive. The Fiero's starting price was $7,999, roughly $23,000 at the time of this recording in January of 2025. It had one of the best crash test safety ratings from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and a high rollover resistance rating due to its low center of gravity. It possesses excellent roof strength and an integrated seatbelt system. The interior is very typical in design from the 1980s. Seating was made from cheap cloths, and the battery and oil temperature indicators were placed in rather unusual locations. On the passenger side, the logo of the Fiero, a winged stallion, was situated in front of the passenger's face, between the door and the oil temperature indicator. Sure, the instrument panel seems pretty basic, yet I have to admit that the Pontiac Fiero feels something out of an exciting episode of the 80s television series Knight Rider. Although it has a very sophisticated and aerodynamic design, unfortunately, there were unusual dangers behind driving this. Aside from slow performance, the engine of the Fiero, especially the 1984 model, was notorious for erupting in flames. This was due to defective connecting rods. Low levels of oil could spill onto hot engine parts, causing it to catch on fire. As a result, Pontiac had to recall every single model produced. It's said that 1 out of 508 Fieros became flames on wheels, surpassing any other vehicle on the market. While improvements were made to the suspension for the 1988 models, the reputation of this car was already tarnished. On August 16, 1988, the last Fiero came off the assembly line, given to an assembler who kept it in pristine condition until 2020. Now, for most car enthusiasts, the Pontiac Fiero is the butt of jokes, and perhaps some would jokingly ask an owner how long they would drive it before the engine caught on fire. But with 21st century technologies and with lots of tender loving care, the few cars that are remaining can be more reliable with better horsepower than ones from the past. The Space chassis still is one of a kind, a breakthrough for its day. And even in 2025, there remains a cult following of Fiero enthusiasts. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I've never owned or even driven one, but the Fiero is probably my favorite car from the 1980s. I was only a small kid during that decade, but I can still remember a few Fieros driving through the city streets. Those unusually sophisticated looks of the exterior made me crave one. Those pop-up headlights really gave it quite an appeal. However, they're now a rare commodity, and only a couple were available for sale from private owners within a 50-mile radius from where I live. I'd love to at least test drive one. I cannot drive manual, so it would have to be automatic. If I could drive a GT model with a full V6 engine, that would be really sweet. For those of you who've ever owned a Fiero, what are your thoughts? How did driving this great American classic serve you? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. My name is Sean Vandeveen. Wishing you peace, much love, and namaste. Godspeed.